Atari is one of the oldest companies in the gaming industry. Sure, the rights to the company have been tossed around a fair number of times, but the legacy has been cemented and features some groundbreaking games like Asteroids, Breakout, Pong and Missile Command. These are but a few of their in-house genius and have made an impact that is felt to this very day. During their first decade, starting off in 1972, yes, that's how far back we're taking this thing here, Atari was an absolute powerhouse with arcade cabinets and the ever-popular Atari 2600, its successor the Atari 5200 and a whole slew of other gaming devices right up until the video game crash of 1983, after which a hungry Nintendo pretty much cleared out the area and reignited the video game craze. And now, just about half a century later, Atari has dusted off some of their finest works and bundled them in the collection they have sent over to me for the purpose of this review, and I'm excited to take you through it. Be sure to enter the Blue Rider Switch giveaway down in the description below, and while you're at it, hit the like button if you enjoy this content, and let's have a look at what the Atari Flashback collection for the Nintendo Switch is all about. Like any respectable company, Atari has released a good number of their bundled classics throughout the years on various platforms. But this edition for the Nintendo Switch is by far the most complete and comprises of 150 games. Upon booting the collection, a proper intro seems to be missing though, something that really made that Sega Genesis collection I reviewed last month stand out all that much more. But once the smoke is cleared and the dust is settled, we come across one of the most gorgeous menus I've ever seen in a game. Upon the dynamic background are displayed 3D images of all of the included arcade cabinet games and box art of the home console versions. Everything is laid out in a clear fashion with 32 arcade games on the first 3 pages and the Atari 2600 and 5200 games spread across the remaining pages in alphabetical order, distinguishable by the cartridge shape upon which the titles are printed. Interestingly, there are even the 2600M network games, which can be recognized by the larger size cartridges, native to the Intellivision system. Intellivision was Atari's direct competitor at that time. One of these games is Aerators, a game I'm quite fond of, in which you have to lift off and hunt down other planes whilst trying to avoid getting hit. Once you've had enough, go back to the home screen to move on to the next game. For every home console game, there is a manual available which has been handled with great care, scanned in decent resolution to relive that experience of leafing through them, searching for a hint or clue as to how to get started. For a selection of the arcade titles, there are even leaderboards available where you can show off your skills. I personally didn't do all so bad in my Crystal Castles run, a 3D Pac-Man of sorts, and a game you should definitely try out for yourself. The options menu for each game gives you the option to customize the graphical output, including the option for scan lines, screen flicker, vector glow, controller input, and the option for border art, something I really appreciate. Although completely cosmetic of course, it does really help to convey that genuine nostalgic feeling whilst playing these gems. Unfortunately, even though this setting is available for the home console versions, the border art is only applicable to the arcade games. For just about every game in the collection, you can adjust the controls, and with the Switch's touchscreen, these age-old games get a new dimension as you can teleport your way across the screen, outpacing any joystick input, like you can see here playing some Avalanche. Tapping the B button whilst in the menu brings up the achievements, a nice little touch to keep the player engaged by challenging the player to earn these awards. Where this collection really shines in my opinion is in its ability to put to display a decade of game development and on the bigger picture the state of the gaming industry as a whole. This is perhaps best illustrated by looking at the development of Asteroids. With the home console market still in its infancy, arcade halls were the place to be. However, slowly but surely there was a change in the air. The original Asteroids arcade release of 1979 boasted a crisp and clear vector display which allowed for extreme precision in contrast to raster graphics which produced pixelated images. The game runs smoothly with ample of movement on the screen. The 1981 Atari 2600 port, however, shows drastic changes to the game's graphics with a raster output, slower speed, less visible elements and a lower accuracy. Still, the game proved to be popular and the decision to move it over to the to-be-released Atari 5200 was made. The game, however, never saw the light of day due to the unsuitable controls of the new system. Fortunately, the ROM survives so we can enjoy the game with modern controls, and what a game it is! At first sight, not much has changed from its predecessor, but upon closer inspection we see an improved graphical output and especially the speed feels so much better. As can be expected, the arcade sequel to the original, Asteroids Deluxe, outdoes all of the other titles in this series and is a thrill to play to this very day. The development of arcade games making their way to home consoles is at the very core of this collection, with other titles including a slew of sports games, Centipede, Millipede, Missile Command and Super Breakout. There are dozens of titles which are either arcade or home console exclusives, including the 2600 version of Frog Pond, a zany yet fun little game, real sports basketball and tennis, which are much the better on the 5200 system, the 2600 classic Night Driver, and one of my absolute favorites, Final Legacy for the same system, the three-front war game of sea to air, sea to land and torpedo attacks, a fuel system whilst defending your home base. A game that offers surprisingly rich content and shows off a promise of three-dimensional space. And for some games in the collection, there's even a portrait mode available, maximizing the Switch's screen size, a little yet very welcome feature, especially when playing together with a friend. Some games offer to be more than a challenge, for the controls are very tough to handle. A simple game of Pong has never been so difficult. Playing with the joystick will send your in-game paddle from one end to the other, while the D-pad will have it move with a considerable drag. The best way of playing this then is to use the Switch's touchscreen, either by tapping it or to stay more true to the original by dragging it across the screen. The Atari Flashback Classics is a trip down memory lane you will not soon forget. Sure, this collection of games is almost half a century old at this point in time, and chances are that you played some of these or perhaps even all of these already on PC or your smartphone device or any other gaming device, but I'm super excited to see this running on the Nintendo Switch, and much praise goes to Code Mystics for developing it. I am convinced that it is important for us to know where we come from in order to understand our current position and to start forming an idea about where it is we are going to. And Atari is one of those forefathers, one of those companies who paved the way and let others stand on their shoulders to reach ever greater heights. The collection is available for just under $40 US, a rather steep price, which I'm afraid will hold back some sales, but it is a true gem in the Switch's collection, and if I've piqued your interest, be sure to grab a copy because it is worth every penny of it. Thank you so much for watching this almost history lesson today. Be sure to enter the giveaway for Blue Rider down in the description below, and I will see you next time.